Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Colmatt here, and today I'm going to be showing you my top 5 tips for space combat. And starting us off first on the list, we have tip number 1, which is to go ahead and max out your squadron, both in the terms of getting as many as you can, as well as getting the best class possible. So currently in game, we have 4 slots available. This is as of No Man's Sky Endurance. That may change with the update 4.0. And you can see from my squadron, we do have all 4 unlocked, as well as they are all 4 S-Class. Now, you can get these in A-Class or even lower and just go ahead and upgrade them with nanites. However, it can get very expensive. So one thing I would recommend is go out and find those S-Class pilots. And if you are having a hard time, I do have a guide on the channel to kind of help you find those S-Class pilots. It's not guaranteed you'll get S-Class. It just really increases those odds that you will. And I know squadrons like to get a lot of hate from the community. A lot of people say they're there just for looks. However, I couldn't disagree more on that. I've had many times where they've saved my butt, and there's been many times where they've helped me destroy people I wasn't even shooting at. So for me personally, I think they're well worth it, and they're definitely going to be tip number 1 on the list today. And tip number 2, which is especially going to be useful for either someone who is in a new save or someone who just isn't very good at space combat, is to go ahead and utilize the emergency warp unit. Now, the emergency warp unit is an upgrade that you acquire through the space anomaly for nanites, and what it allows you to do is just hyperdrive scramble. So if you want to see how that works, this can be used in the middle of a fight, and this is why I recommend that you have it installed. Even if you don't ever use it, I'd highly recommend installing it. It only takes up 1 slot. So we're just going to go into our quick menu, go to utilities, and then you can see emergency warp. So once we press that, it just is going to go ahead and warp us to a random system. Now, what's really cool about the emergency warp unit is the fact that you can use it while you're in combat. So if you get too heated and say you don't have anything to recharge your shields and you're about to blow up, you just go ahead and hit that emergency warp and then you're saved. It's also very useful if you don't have the cargo deflector. So if the sentinels start tracking you, you can just go ahead and jump to the next system over to avoid having to fight with them. Really useful technology though. I highly recommend it to anybody who does any sort of space combat because you never know when you might get caught off guard. So I highly recommend using it. Tip number 3, have a lot of sodium or a lot of starship shield batteries. Now, as long as you're using a standard ship, you're going to use 2 things to recharge your shields. You're either going to be using the starship shield batteries or you're going to be using sodium. So I would recommend having a lot of one or even both of those items on you at all times, because space combat in this game isn't that hard. However, if you're early game or if you get ambushed by a lot of sentinels, it can get challenging from time to time, and if you don't have anything to recharge those shields with, you might as well say goodbye to your ship. Now, as far as sodium goes, it's pretty self-explanatory. You can pick it up from the planet's surface, you can buy it from space stations. Starship shield batteries, however, are a little bit different, and most people don't know this, but what you can do is you can actually go up to the contraband agent on any black market or pirate system space station, and there's going to be a very high chance that they're going to sell these starship shield batteries if you just scroll down. So he has 7, I'll go ahead and buy those. And you can see 7 of those was 4,000, so they're pretty cheap, and they'll refill your shield all the way with just 1 of those, kind of how the ion batteries do. What's really cool though is if you don't feel like going out of your way to pay for those, you actually can buy the recipe aboard the space anomaly. So if we want to go ahead in here and look and see, we'll go over to craft products, and under the consumables category, we'll scroll down. You can see you can actually make these. They're going to cost 50 tritium and 20 gold. So for me, it's not necessarily worth it because then I have to go out and either buy gold or farm for gold. So for me, it's worth it just to jump from pirate system to pirate system, buying these batteries if I need them, or even you can just hop in your ship and make a save after you bought them and reload, and it should restock their entire inventory. Tip number 4, have multiple weapons on your ship to swap to. Now again, this one is going to be more useful for your early game or someone who just bought a new ship. Go ahead and just install 2 low-level weapons so you can cycle between them when they overheat. It's especially going to be useful for something like the rocket launcher, where you normally only get 1 shot before it overheats, or something like the positron ejector before upgrades, because they can't overheat very fast. Once you get to the point where 1 weapon is being used more than the rest, either because of upgrades or just because of sheer damage, at that point you might can go in and uninstall. So you can see in my case we have the Infinite Accelerator, and it does have 3 S-Class upgrades, or 2 S-Class and 1 X-Class to be precise. I have the B-Class upgrade from the Anomaly, and then I have 3 more S-Class upgrades in the technology. But tip number 4, again, use multiple weapons, especially early game. And the 5th and final tip, or tips I should say, because this is going to be 2 tips, is going to be how to help keep the ships in front of you in space combat. And if you don't know, there actually is an option you should turn on in your pause menu that'll help with space combat. That is going to be under the control options. Once you go all the way to the far right to the options, hit control, and then you'll see Starship Combat Auto Follow. You can enable this to hold, or you can enable it for toggle. For me personally, I like to keep it disabled. For the purpose of this video, we'll go ahead and turn it on. So what that option does is while you're holding down the reverse, it'll actually help track the enemy ship. So for keyboard, that's going to be the S button, and then of course for controller, it's going to be either your L2 button if you're on PlayStation, or left trigger if you're on Xbox. And we'll go ahead and give an example of that now. So we have this pirate here that is shooting at us. Once we're aimed at him, we're just going to hold down the left trigger, and you can see we're reversing and it's keeping him in front of us. So we can go ahead and just start firing on him now. The only problem with this method, as you can see there, is while you are reversing, a lot of times your squadron will also reverse with you. So you kind of got to pick and choose your battles. I would say it's probably more worth it to go ahead and reverse to keep that enemy in front of you than having your squadron help fight. But again, that is where you would have to pick and choose what you want to do. But I can assure you one thing, if you use all the tips and tricks listed in today's video, it will definitely help you become a better space pirate or a better pilot in general. If you have any additional comments I didn't cover in today's video, feel free to leave them in the comments down below to try to help out any of your fellow travelers, and I will pin the best comments that I can see. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you've stuck around this far, consider leaving a like and even consider subscribing on the channel. It really helps me out and really gives me motivation to keep making these videos to help out new travelers. And for anyone wondering about the upload schedule, for the time being, it's going to be Friday nights around 8 p.m. and then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, it is going to be a for sure 8 a.m. upload. And Tuesday through Thursday is going to be my research time. Because believe it or not, these videos actually do take a considerable amount of time to edit, record, and find the video ideas, as well as research to make sure that all the information is correct. But your guys' comments definitely do help with these videos, and I really appreciate anyone who's left comments requesting video ideas. I will be getting to all the video ideas I have in the backlog as soon as possible. And I want to give a huge shout out to 4Life Jeff. Today's video was actually a video request on the No Man's Sky ship weapon video, so thank you so much for that. Anyways guys, I don't want to hold you up any longer. Thanks so much for watching the video. Peace out.